Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, Luann Nigara. Luann has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. Luann brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today is another show featuring husband and wife teams. Amber Cortez, the principal of Envision Design Build out in California, is one of several listeners that had requested that I do more shows with husband and wife teams. So you know that episode 270 was with Shay and Sid McGee, and we talked all about their business, the empire they've built in just over 3 years. And then in episode 271, I spoke with my own husband, and we largely discussed our reflections of 30 plus years in business together. And today I'm talking with Morgan and Ryan Motsinger, the owners of Lot 35 Homes. Ryan is a contractor and Morgan is a designer, and they have each been doing their individual jobs. But now, this past summer, 2017, they have combined and they've opened a business together, and now they're working and figuring it out and renovating and designing projects together in their community in Tillamook, Oregon. So it's an interesting show. I hope you like it. And I'm just going to say, I didn't ask Morgan, but I will ask you, have you tried Curated Cravat yet? CuratedCravat.com is perfect for your design firm, whether you have easy access to a big design center or if you are in a more remote area. Because at CuratedCravat.com, you can source lighting, rugs, furniture, accessories, and more. It's really easy. You just select the items you want. You use the code CKPodcast at checkout on your first order for 10% off, and all of your products will be delivered packaged beautifully either to you or directly drop shipped to your client if you want. You don't have to have any concerns about drop shipping to your client. Everything comes packaged nicely, well presented. You just don't have to worry about it, I promise. All you have to do is design, click, delivered with CuratedCravat.com by Cravat Inc. All right, let's meet Morgan and Ryan Motsinger. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Morgan. How are you guys today? Thanks for joining me on the show.
Hi, thank you. It's good to be here.
Hi, Luann. We're so excited to join you today.
Yeah, I am too. So we've been sort of Instagram, friends and besties for a while here, right, Morgan? Yep. And so what happened is a week or so, 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, Morgan, but somebody commented on one of the posts. Did I post the post about Shay and Sid McGee, the picture that I had just interviewed them, and I said, stay tuned, it'll be out in a couple of weeks, and somebody was like, oh, that's great. I would love to hear more on husband and wife teams. Do you remember if that's how it happened?
I do. That was how it happened.
Right. And so then I knew that you and I had already been connected, and I knew that you were in business with your husband. So I was like, all right, lady, you want to do this? Right.
Yeah, let's go for it.
That's it. So you are probably the second Shay and Sid would be the first in the series. And then right after Shay and Sid, I have a Power Talk Friday with me and my husband, Vin, that is up and on air by the time you and your interview is going up. And so you're probably going to be the third in the series, and it's going to be interesting to get everybody's take on it. So we're going to take apart how the two of you work together as husband and wife in your business. But first, I would love to really just talk about the business in general, and make sure that everybody understands, because you have a really cool thing going on here, you guys. I just love your website. I just really love how it does exactly what a website is supposed to do. When I already liked you, Morgan. You're adorable. You're sweet. You're energetic on Instagram. So I was like, all right, I like this kid. This is cool. But then when I went to the website, I was like, oh my God, can I just be your neighbor? Like, you guys look like so awesome.
Well, the feeling is mutual.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's funny because I have had many conversations in the last couple of months with the money mindset and sales coaching course that I did with Nancy Ganskaufer, and I've been doing a lot of one-on-one coaching these last several months. And I have to say, on more than one occasion, I have had to gently say to an interior designer that I cannot tell who you are from your website. And that's not good. Because if somebody is just Googling interior designer Oregon, which is where you guys are from, they need to know more than just your portfolio. They need to know who you are. And when I go to your website, I get that. And that is so cool. So I am going to say, I mean, you know, you're listening out there and you're probably running or doing laundry, but, and I say this a lot, to go to a guest website, but definitely go to Ryan and Morgan's website, lot35homes.com, because and we had a little discussion off air, so I'm going to make an assumption that, Morgan, you're the mastermind of the website.
I am, yeah.
Ryan already gave her cred off air for the website. So, but you do a really, really great job of mixing a professional presentation of what the two of you do, but showing and expressing your values as human beings and your, like, I don't know, you know, it looks like you love each other. That's all I can say. So.
We do. And I think that was, you know, that was the goal, was to be able to tell our potential clients and our clients really what we are. And the truth is that we don't take ourselves too seriously, and that humor and connection are a huge part of the way we run our business. So I'm so pleased to see that new eyes on our website is confirming that the goal that I was going for is being met.
Yeah, you definitely are, because like I said, when you guys look at the website, you'll see that you know, she talks about their projects and stuff, but then she talks about the story of us and how they, you know, how they came up with the name of Lot 35 Homes. And do you want to tell that story to everybody instead of keeping in some sense suspense and having to go to the website? It's a great story.
No, I'm trying to boost my SEO. Yeah, I'll tell.
Smart lady, you got there, Ryan.
So when Ryan and I met, we really, this is super cheesy, but I found out his favorite number was 3 and my favorite number is 5. And so we would just see 35s anywhere, and it was kind of like this mushy gushy, like, oh, you know, and that's
another 35.
Yeah, it's just continued for the last 13 years since we first met. And so that's the 35 piece. And then the lot is an acronym for least of these. And the way that we live our lives and the way that we operate our business is from a place of faith. And we want that to spill over into how we run our business. And so that's where Lot 35 Homes came from.
I love it. I think it's adorable. And I love that you share it on the site, because it is one of those further things that really just there were so many things that drew me in the more I kept looking. So sometimes I have to keep going through a website because I'm looking for something. I'm looking for anything a lot of times, and I keep looking and looking. Yours, I was just like, oh, there's something here, and there's something here, and there's something here. You know, that makes me want to read more, is the point. And so you do a really, really, really good job, Morgan, at it. And I, you know, hats off to you with that whole website and everything that you've accomplished there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, okay, so let's talk about this. So you guys are together for 11 years, it sounds like, at this point. Did we just say? 13
yeah,
years.
We've been married for 11 years.
Right, 11 years together, 13 years together, 11 years married. But now, Morgan, you opened your interior design business a year and a half ago at the time that so summer 2016. And Ryan has been in the contracting industry for several years, working for others, and I understand doing his own work on the side, right? Mm-hmm. And then this past summer, 2017, the two of you decided to combine and merge your businesses. Okay, so tell me a little bit, one of you, whoever would like to, about what led to the decision to combine and what kinds of things did that mean for the both of you?
So what led to combining our businesses was just an overload of work. And when Ryan first got his contractor's license, it was in 2008. And so that was when, you know, so many things tanked and business was hard, and we struggled for a long time. And so I think the fear of a failure kept me from wanting to go ahead and pursue him being out on his own again and really tried to get going with this business. And when we both were just so running crazy trying to cover all of the work that we were doing. It no longer made sense to keep doing things the way that we were doing. So we decided to go ahead and just take the risk of moving forward with doing our own business together.
And how about you, Ryan? What did you think about it? Did you have any reservations, or you were like, oh, thank God, finally?
No,
or where were you?
I was more, I had such a huge load of work, and just as Morgan was saying, it just made more sense to work together and to not be working late nights, and just to join our business and do it together.
And explain to us how joining them together it reduced the workload or lightened it or streamlined it. What happened? What was in the combining that made it seem like a better quality of life decision? I'm not sure I'm following it.
Okay, so working together, I stopped working for this other contractor full time or at all. And so I just focused on what we had in front of us, our own jobs, to where I didn't have to moonlight.
Because you were previously doing those jobs on the weekends and nights. I see, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were all okay. So that's part of the story, that Morgan was running her interior design firm and then hiring you out to do certain parts of the different construction parts of it, but you were having to do those nights and weekends.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So tell us about the decision. About was it scary? Was it no-brainer? Was it scary but plowed through? What? Tell us a little bit about it. So first, think about somebody who is contemplating it, and what are your hindsight? Even though it's only 6 or 7 months out, what are your hindsight thoughts on it?
I think it was all of those things depending on the day. And I tend to research things to death and prepare for things to death, and to the point of it kind of immobilizes me. And so thankfully, the big issue of us working together was never an issue. And so that gave me the confidence to move forward with doing the business combined. I knew that we had worked so well together on everything that we had done, and we genuinely like each other. And so it never feels like a drag to be working on something together. It's always exciting and it's always positive, and we work through problems really well together, and we respect each other's way of doing things. And I know you've used this phrase on your show quite a lot, the zone of genius. And we bring that to the table, that we are totally fine with letting that person be in whatever their zone of genius is and deferring to the other person on things that we're not sure about. And so having that confidence in our ability to work together was the foundation to moving forward with doing our businesses together.
I love it. So what's interesting is, you haven't heard it yet because it isn't on air, but when my husband and I did the Power Talk Friday talking about it, one of the things that we really said is you have to establish all the different roles for the business and then figure out who's better suited to handle them, and then let that other person go and trust them to do it. You know what I mean? Don't overmanage and overthink it and double check them. If that's what their superpower is, let them go be in their superpower, right?
Yes, for sure. And I probably struggle with that more than he does, because I'm a little bit of a control freak. But I'm getting better, I hope, at not micromanaging everything and letting us tackle the things in the way that we're best at.
Right. Well, it's funny because my husband used that exact line in an interview. He goes, and for you control freaks out there. And I was thinking to myself, my God, don't say that to my people.
Well, sometimes you have to be, because there's so many tiny moving pieces that have to be in place for it to function correctly. So letting go of that can be a challenge.
Yeah. And there is a fine line there, Morgan. You're exactly right. There's a fine line between, washing your hands of something and being like, hey, it'll be fine. That's his area or her area. And then of the other side of it, of being too over managing, that one or the other person doesn't feel like that they can thrive. And so you guys aren't at that stage yet, right? So you are you've been working side by side, building a marriage and a family, and you've each had your projects, and Ryan has worked on yours. But this is the first time these last 6 months that you're actually truly in business together. And so I know for us, looking back all the years, that is one of the stick points. It is a point. It is something that you learn, that as much as, oh yeah, that's what he does really good, there's sometimes that you're going to feel passionate about it and not agree. You know what I mean? And so you have that challenge ahead of you yet. And for us, we look back and we always say, well, ultimately, whoever area it is has final say. Like, we're just not going to fight to the death. We're going to have our debate. We're going to possibly have an argument about it. We're possibly going to debate it and really do as much as we can to persuade the other. But ultimately, whoever area it is has the final say. And then the other one goes, okay, fine, that's it. It's done. You know what I mean?
I think that's great advice, Leanne.
Yeah. It is, because there's no other way to do a stalemate. You see, what happens is, as people, when we work for someone else, if you were if Morgan, if you were working in conjunction side by side with a separate construction firm, if you didn't agree with what he was doing, you're not going to like chase him around and argue with him for 10 days in a row. And every time you see him, right, start arguing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But the thing is, when you're married to that person, or it's a family member, it's a brother, a sister, or a cousin, or whatever, you sort of think you have license to bring it up every single time you look at each other's eyeballs. And it's like, guess what? You don't. Not if you want to survive this, right?
Yeah. And I think, to the point that's one of the things that I appreciate our business and about our business, and that we can offer our clients, is that some of these issues that would take a lot longer to work out if I was working with another contractor can get resolved so much more quickly, because we're hashing it out together, and I'm not having to go back to him again and again and again to try and find a solution.
Exactly. And how about, I don't know if it's happened already, but I know it's going to happen, the time where you're out on Saturday afternoon with your kids, and one of you goes, oh my goodness, I just figured out how we're going to like move that I-beam, and then you can put the kitchen sink where you want. You know what I mean?
I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah. No, because it is, there's inspiration that comes everywhere, all different ideas, conversations, and you just have so many more of them together than you would if he was a stranger contractor or she was a stranger designer, and so the collaboration is it can really, like you said, you can really sell that as a benefit to your potential clients and your clients, because you will get lots more gas by being, having all of the conversations of your life, and they interact, okay, and intersect with your business is what I mean to say. So you guys have good news for us. You told me off air before we started that you've just signed a new contract, and it's a pretty big one. One of you guys tell us about it.
We did. We were able to sign a contract for our clients who are wanting to completely renovate their condo. So it's pretty much a gut job, and then redoing it with furnishings also.
So where and how did this client find you guys?
So since we live in a really small town, word of mouth has been 100% our biggest marketing tool, if you will. And this person had gone into a local furniture store, and we are friends with the owners, and she had talked with him about what she wanted to do with her condo, and he ended up getting in touch with us. He said that he didn't have time to do it, and he knew that it needed a contractor to do the work. And so we went ahead and got her contact information and got in touch with her that way.
And this gentleman at the furniture store, friend or associate from the design world?
Friend.
Okay, good. So it's accessing your primary network of friends, family, relatives.
Right.
So tell me about, in approaching this project with this new client that wants your whole services, how did you have difficulty figuring out how to price these sorts of projects, you two? Or is it, look, Ryan is going to do what he always does, and he's going to figure out what the construction is, and you're going to do what you always do and figure out the design and just add them all up and tally them up and ask for a deposit? Like, how did you guys come up with that?
That's pretty much how it went down.
Okay.
So I went over the construction phase of it, and she tallied up all of her interior goods and her fees and my fees, and Yeah, that's how it went down.
Okay. All right. So, all right, pretty straightforward. All right. And so now tell us a little bit more about, like, what will you do for marketing and outreach? You said that it's 100% word of mouth at this point. So what, in a small area like that, will you rely on referral or, well, I know you're doing Facebook Live, Morgan, right?
Yeah, I have actually been, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am surprised at the reach to our other, social media accounts, blog post, website. That's where it take us through those videos. And I wouldn't have even started doing them if I hadn't been listening to your podcast and heard how important they are. And so as uncomfortable as it was just starting and doing that, it's become more and more comfortable as it's happened. But yeah, so when I started my business back when I was still Sparrow Song Design last summer, the way that I did it is that I asked 3 friends if they would be my guinea pig clients. So I said, I just starting this business, and this was before I even started my website or anything. And I asked them if they would provide the funds for all of the furniture and decor, but then I wouldn't charge them a dime for what I did. So I did those 3 projects, and then I took pictures of those, put them on my website, and then got going that way. And then from there, it was word of mouth. And I was so surprised at how busy I was right away. And so that's the other contributing factor to us combining our businesses, is that it grew so much faster than I anticipated. I thought, oh, maybe I'll have 2 projects a year or something, but I was so busy.
Wow. So tell me about that. When you did ask 3 friends, now, is it just a coincidence that all 3 friends were like, yeah, I've got the budget to buy all new furniture and stuff? Or did you ask 10 friends and 3 said okay?
I asked 3 friends, but I also was in the position where I didn't have the experience to know really what a budget could look like for a whole room renovation. So this was more like just decor items, throw pillows and stuff like lamps and accessories.
Okay, so like a redecoration, so they freshen up, not tens of thousands of dollars, but maybe $3,000 for a room.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were just, they were friends that were interested in having things look nice. Okay. So I understand that. So when you completed each of these projects for your 3 friends, then I'm going to make an assumption that part of the agreement was that you got to photograph.
Yeah, I did. And at that point, I didn't know a thing really about getting professional looking photographs. And so I was taking iPhone pictures and putting them up. But for where I was in my business, it was totally fine. That's not something that I would do now. And I have seen how big of a difference making the investment in having professional photographs is for your portfolio. That's a huge thing.
Okay, agreed. Okay. And so when, I love it when I hear that you're out the gate, you're busy. So you do these first 3 for the friends. You take your iPhone pictures, you put them out, whatever. Do you have a blog at this point? Do you put them on Instagram? Where do the other jobs come from? Do they actually, because the town is so small that it's like that friend has 3 friends that you didn't know, or is it coming from other places?
Well, I did put them on Instagram, but I also hardly knew anything about using Instagram and hashtags and all of that. I would put them on my Facebook page, but it really was, this friend knows this friend, and maybe I already knew them. They're an acquaintance, but they didn't know that I was doing this business. And so that's kind of how it all happened. And
how about the sticky part of was there some sort of conversation, Morgan, where you said to the 3, look, I'm launching my business and I would like to do this for you at no charge, but when you refer or tell somebody about me, I can't do it for free for every other person down the line. Because I have to tell you, this just happened in my showroom just last week. An interior designer, she's a high-end luxury designer. Her design assistant is getting her own business off the ground, and it's completely kosher with the designer that she works for. She's supportive of it, wants her to do it, and figures if she works for her 3 days a week for another 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, it's fine with her, okay? But she specifically said that this particular junior designer had done the same thing, done some work, for free for a couple of friends in order to get some pictures and build a portfolio and just to go through the process of doing it without the pressure of a paying client. She said, but the friends have all been referring her, but the friends that are coming from it all are expecting it to be like, free consultations. And she's just, the senior is basically saying, you can't do that. You can't be doing. So how did you handle that?
That's a good question. Well, my fees were really low at the beginning, and because I didn't go to school, there was, I think, a lot of background information that I didn't know about the interior design world. And so I had my fees at where I thought it was a reasonable place. And then as I found how busy I was and actually tracking how much time I was spending on projects and realizing that, I wasn't really making anything on these projects, then we started to talk about adjusting our fees, and then I started charging for my first time consultation after I listened to one of your podcasts where somebody I can't remember who it was, but they said, you need to charge for that consultation, and how then you feel like you can be giving your clients a really good value in really valuing your own time. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've been learning is that when I value my own time, then it not only does it teach my client how to value my time, but it makes me value their time also.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, I keep referencing these conversations now because the conversations that I'm having with all the one-on-ones are just so rich in all of the obstacles that each of you are facing. And just recently, a similar conversation and saying how, expressing to me that over and over he is doing consultations at no charge because that's how his structure is set up, or low. I think it's low, $85 or something like that. And then the clients are often not going forward and doing a do-it-yourself model after that, basically taking all of the ideas and then executing on their own. And one of the things I said was, well, raise the consultation fee to $350, and then you'll be fine with them going on their own and doing it. Like, do three $350s a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it was funny because it was like a light bulb moment for this designer. And I said to him, look, if you can do 3 consultations a week at $350 for 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, that's going to turn into it's going to be numbers game. It's going to be you're going to get some people that are going to then take the next step. But in the meantime, it's not a decent week's work if no one does. And instead of begrudging the what's happening in your life and what's happening in your process, it's like just count the dollar bills, put them in the bank. So going back to your particular dynamic there, it sounds like to me that maybe you didn't have an upfront conversation with your couple of friends and said, when you refer me, but when you got to those referrals, you then would just lay out, this is my design hourly fee or XYZ, however you work your program.
Yeah, and I think a huge part of that is when we joined our businesses, I did a lot of the back work that I didn't know needed to be done before I started my business the first time. And so getting things like really good contracts in place and having a website and having, the contracts that have actual lawyer and legal eyes on it, doing all of this back work, I think that's what gave me the confidence to start charging what I should be charging. And then it kind of it got to the point where it was like, I just need to put out there what our fees are and just let it sit. And that I know you've talked a lot about presenting yourself to your ideal client in the way that's going to actually attract the ideal client. And so, as uncomfortable it is to talk about money, that's going to be something that if, your target client is in this particular range or for these particular services, then price towards that. And that's the client that you're going to get.
So what I'm hearing in there, Morgan, is that really when you put in your business, you set your business up like a big girl, right? You set your contract, you set everything up. And once you had that for yourself, nobody ever saw it before. They did or didn't know it was there. But when you knew it was there, then you were able to turn around and come out and be, look, this is my fees, this is what I do, and this is how I do it. That's what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gave me the confidence to be able to present myself as a real interior designer.
I love it. I think it's great. It's awesome. All right. So tell me some nitty gritty about husband and wifeness here. What are you thinking? Do we have any struggles with managing? You have 3 children. Do you have any struggles with who covers kids and things like that? And do you have struggles with who's in charge of the project, or what are we looking at in those regards?
Oh, no, never. Oh, man. Do you want to field this, Ryan?
Struggles. No,
He's
I
like,
think
"Wait, don't give me that one."
we've got a pretty good handle on it. It's just finding time when I'm doing my projects, coming and giving her time to continue working on her portion of what she's got going on when she's been home all day watching our 2-year-old. And so if I get done early, I come home to where she can get going on what she's got going on.
Okay, so right now, Morgan, you are home during the day with a 2-year-old, and so you're probably not getting a lot of work done during the day. Maybe at 2, there's still a good 2 or 3 hour nap in there, but you are trying to balance the two of you. Like, so okay, he's through the door now. Let me get working on floor plans or billing or invoicing.
Right. Yeah. So working nap times, and then I try not to work when the family's home together in the evenings, but then it means late nights.
Yeah. And how is, I mean, like, I don't know if you heard the Shay McGee episode, but, their life, they were doing 18, 20 hours a day when they first started their business. And I know from the other episode that we did with Shay a couple of months ago in September, their days are still good, 13, 14, 15-hour days, but they are flopping it. She was describing how Sid leaves early in the morning and she stays home in the morning with the kids and doing the breakfast and getting them to school and everything, and then she comes in sort of in the afternoon, and then back home at dinner time, and I think he comes back home at dinner time and she's back at dinner time too, but then she'll work after dinner after the kids are in bed, and he's sort of like done at that point because he's been starting at 4 or 5 in the morning. It's a constant rotation of one of them working, one of them with kids, both of them with kids, and one of them working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you guys fighting that schedule too and trying to work that out as well?
We're not, and I think we have such a small firm right now and live in such a small area, and we want to keep it small right now so that the things that are really important to us with our family come more easily than they would if we had a huge company with tons of employees and people counting on us. So we foresee down the road being able to do things differently and be busier in that regard. But for now, we're keeping it small on purpose.
Okay. So that's a good thing. I've had other guests on the show tell me the same thing, that, on purpose, by design, I do not want this to be a bigger company. So that's good. And it's smart. And the designer that I just mentioned that has the one junior designer assistant, she's been in business probably 15 years, and she has sometimes a design assistant. That's why I said, if that design assistant, when she's ready to spread her wings and she leaves, the senior, it doesn't care. She's like, she will literally turn down projects. She could work every single day, be overwhelmed, but she has no desire to work more than your basic 35, 40-hour week. And she's a high-end luxury designer to boot. So you know what I mean? But it can be done. You can manage it. It's with intention.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I think I want to explore using Krista Kupar. I know you interviewed her, but I thought her business model was genius. And that's something that as our business grows, that would be a really wonderful asset for us because of it's such a small town. I feel like I keep saying that over and over again, but that really informs how we operate our business. That there's not a huge pool to choose from for having like an intern or a junior designer, or, even having somebody to do CAD. That's not really a skill set that's easily found where we live. And apart from, having somebody move here and then finding that we don't want our business to be big enough to give them full-time work, it just doesn't make sense. So we might be taking advantage of a company that is able to provide services like that on a contract to contract basis.
And Krista Cooper's company does it. And also you heard the show with Brittany Elms, my design assistant.
Oh, I don't remember. I probably did listen to that one, but I don't. I'm going to go back and listen to it.
She does it too. She's a solo. And so Krista Cooper is a bigger company. She's got a big company, and she is, I think she can do it anywhere. She can help you virtually, but I believe, I may be talking out of turn, but I believe her big value is for the designers in the San Francisco area that want to, what she has there, if you remember, she has a really beautiful office space, conference rooms and office space in the design center. And so if you're a solo and you work out of your home, say, but you have the opportunity to maybe present to a bigger project and you're just feeling like, well, I can't really have them in my living room for this. You know what I mean? So you can rent her, you can be part of her, I forget what it's called. It's like a club, but I don't remember what it's called. Her thing where you have access to their conference room. And then what happens is, if you're a solo and all of a sudden, like you guys got this big project on your hands, but you don't know if the next one's coming, you can use her services for X amount of months. And what happens is her designers on staff will do a lot of your sourcing and a lot of everything. And all of the emails and stuff are coming from, hello at Lot 35 Homes, or, Karen at Lot 35 Homes. And it, looks like you're a bigger firm. And of course, you can handle more things, but on a contracted basis. And Brittany Elms, from my design assistant, does the same thing by herself, though. So she's great for one-off projects. Like, you don't have to be part of an of an ongoing monthly membership with her. You can literally say, Brittany, I need floor plans for these 5 rooms. Here's the dimensions. How much, and hit me back. Yeah. So very cool. Okay, so your website, I love a couple of things that you're doing on there. Your blog is very good. You have the Entrepreneur Spotlight. You have the High Five Mondays. Tell me about these. Are these from a marketing standpoint to expand your SEO? They're just something that you love. Tell us about them.
Well, I've had a personal blog for 6 years or so, and I really enjoy blogging, and so that just became a natural part of the website. I haven't seen a lot of traffic boosted because of that. So for now anyway, I'm just doing it because I really enjoy doing it. I started doing the High Five Mondays because I needed something to motivate me to blog every week consistently. And so I thought, if I put a day to it, then it's going to force me at least to get one blog post out a week. Okay. So that was the behind that. And then the Entrepreneur Spotlight, I actually heard the idea on one of your podcasts, of course.
Claire?
So that's where
Claire
that's where I get all that's where I get all my good ideas. But I love the idea of highlighting other businesses in a parallel industry, because I really believe that there is enough work to go around, and there's something really beautiful about highlighting other people's creativity. And so I wanted to do that, and I wanted other people in our community to see these other services from other local businesses that they could take advantage of.
Yeah, I can think of 2 that I know have done it. I'm sure more do, but I know Claire Stasak, Centered by Design in Chicago area, and Sandra from House of Funk here in New York, New Jersey. They both have features like this, that they do that. So and they both talked about it on the show, so maybe that's where you got the ideas, but that's cool.
Probably.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. So, and then the other thing I want to talk about before you guys go is Lot 35 Connect. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so we have a special needs daughter, and before we joined our businesses, I had an idea. I'll never forget the moment that it was like this light bulb moment where I thought, we have an opportunity to use our combined talents to really make special needs parents' lives more comfortable and more functional. And so we know, from firsthand experience how exhausting caregiving can be. And there's a lot of organizations that are geared towards providing services for special needs kids, as it should be. But I haven't seen a huge market for doing things for special needs parents. And so our goal is to, based on a case-by-case basis, is to provide redesigned spaces for that special needs parent who, in whatever way to them is what is going to help them relax and rejuvenate and rest. And so we thought, if for one set of parents, they really enjoy cooking together, we would want to redesign their kitchen. And we're not in a position to do that. I mean, we just talked to our very first family this week about it and got going on that. And that's a really, really exciting step forward for us with that part of our business. But our goal is to have local businesses and community members to be able to contribute to these projects, to just create a real sense of camaraderie in our community. And then I think it was Suzanne Winterstein, who when I listened,
by design. Yeah.
Yes, when I listened to that podcast and heard how she did sponsorships of certain items, I thought, what a great way to be able to do that, because some of these families, their families are spread out all over and their friends are spread out all over. And so it's a way for everybody to be able to contribute to something that's really wonderful. And we've seen firsthand how having a space where you can relax is so beneficial to being able to take care of yourself and then take better care of your child.
Right. Because you understand what you're describing is you understand firsthand that, if you're not feeling, terrific, it's hard to help somebody else feel terrific. But when it's a special needs child, you can't, just turn it off and turn it on when you feel okay. That child requires it as he or she requires it daily, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, the whole time you were talking, I was like, this is like what Susan is doing.
Yes. I am heading down to the Design Bloggers Conference in the spring, and I think she's speaking at it. So I'm going to try and stalk her and,
Definitely.
and hook up with her down there.
I'll tell you what, I think you should email her ahead of time and tell her and ask her that, to tell her you want to meet her. Definitely. Susan would love it.
I'm going to do that.
Listen to me. Susan would love it.
Thanks, Susan. I'll count on it.
Okay, Luann. But she's just so giving, and she is so happy to share and spread what she's doing. And so you're basically, like you said, creating it on the other end for parents. And so as opposed to the children, which is, look, we all know, it's hard to be a good parent to anybody, to be good to anybody for anything when you're not feeling, terrific, let alone, the particular challenges that you face, right?
Yeah.
So very cool, very cool. So, all righty. So, and then the last thing, the Facebook Lives, you said it a little bit in there, but I didn't pull it apart when you said it. What's happening with the engagement, and what kinds of things are you talking about? I saw you talk about this lot, 35 Connect. I caught another one a week or so ago. Are you doing it every week at the same time on a Thursday or something? Tell us a little bit about your game plan there and what's happening.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I'm trying to rope Ryan into more of these, but the thing that I'm struggling with is trying to figure out what in the world to talk about.
I know.
So, I know the benefits, but I'm like, okay, who wants to hear what about what? And so, I've put polls out, like, what do you want to hear about? And when there's not a lot of engagement coming back on that, it's like, oh, well, where do I go from here? So I don't want to just be staring at my phone like, you guys, I wore my hair in a messy bun today because I'm a mom. Like, all right, see you next week.
I know. It's crazy. Have you been watching what I've been doing with the duct tape diaries?
Oh my gosh, Luann, I love that so much. It's so funny. I was thinking about sending you like one of the magnetic dash things, but I was like, No, you have to keep it on your steering wheel. It's so funny.
It's just, oh my God, it's so funny because you listen to the show. I have been literally for over a year knowing that I have to do this, that it's good to do and everything else. And I've started it and I've tried it. And then one day I stuck it. I realized that what it was I didn't start with sticking it to that. Wasn't the idea. The idea was to do it in the car. That was the idea. I was like, oh my God, I'm a car rides person. This is my shtick. Anytime I've ever had to have a serious conversation with a child, with my husband, with an employee, like that person's going for a car ride, to the point that what's funny is other employees, salespeople have a reason to be in the car with me, but others do not, right? Installers do not, admins do not. And to the point that Kim, who works for me, my right-hand man, has said to Adriana, if Luann ever asks you to take a car ride with her, I'm just saying, you bring
Don't
your
get
tissues.
In the car. Brace yourself.
Right.
Awesome.
And so the thing is, I was thinking about that. I mean, I even have a speech that I give to groups about car rides in a very serious way. Car rides are one of the best ways I have found to have difficult conversations because people can't escape. When you really do have a tough conversation with your kid or your husband, they can't escape. You don't have to have eye contact, which makes a hard conversation easier. Yeah. And you can reach an impasse and no one can go anywhere. So you can reach an impasse and then a half a block later or 20 miles later say, so I didn't mean to hurt your feelings with that, but, so the thing is, I love them. And so all of a sudden one day I was like, well, I should talk to everybody in the car because I like car rides. And then I was so excited and so happy about this idea that I couldn't even be bothered to get on Amazon and order a dash mount and have it get to me in 2 hours. I was like, I have to do it now. And then what was so funny was there's no flat part on my dashboard. There's no flat part. And so I'm trying to prop it up and do all this stuff. And finally I'm like, all right, I'm just going to have to tape it to the steering wheel. And so, but I didn't even get it until I made the first turn. I'm like, oh, that's a problem.
Well, I think you're probably going to be stuck with it forever now because it seems like everybody really likes it.
Well, that's the funny thing. I was like, the first turn I made, I was like, oh, crap, this isn't going to work. And then everybody was thinking it was so funny. And, of course, it cracks me up every time.
Well, and I think, Luann, that is a really valuable piece of information for someone that if you have an idea about something, just go for it. Right. Because you can be, stalled by not having all the correct pieces in place, but just go for it and you never know how it's going to turn out.
Yes, it's true. And the funny thing was that was exactly what I said, Morgan, on the second day of the Facebook Live with the car rides, because I said, you know what? Here I am again. And no, I didn't order a dash mount, but I don't care. I can't wait to do this again. This is the first time in a year and a half that I'm actually looking forward to doing Facebook Live. I said, so we're doing it like this. And then that's when all the feedback started coming in that everybody thinks it's hysterical.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to maybe duct tape it to a jackhammer for Ryan or something. And that'll be our thing.
That's what you have to do. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I would think that you could have a lot of things to Facebook Live with Ryan working and, figuring something out and explaining stuff, Come on,
yeah,
Ryan.
I think I'm getting hung up on the scheduling of it. I feel like I got to have it at the same time every week, and that I probably just need to just do it more.
Well, and I'm going to tell you what. You see that what you just said to me, that's a lesson in not getting hung up, because that's exactly right. I was like, oh, should I do it at the same time every day? And I'm like, you know what? You're just doing it. Just move on.
Yeah.
Just move on. It's just happening. I'm like, there's no way I could schedule it at the same time every day. That's been one of the things that has put me behind the 8 ball on doing it to begin with, because between Window Works and the podcast and everything else, there was no one day that was good for everything. So so the car rides, when I was like, well, I'm always in the car and I love to talk in the car.
That's so funny. I love that so much.
Yeah, so if anybody listening has no idea what we're talking about, you just follow me on A Well-Designed Business on Facebook and you can join us. It was called Car Rides, and now I've been hashtagging it Car Rides and Duct Tape Diaries.
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. That's so
anyway, but it is the other lesson in there, Morgan, is just as you said, is you don't have to wait for everything to be perfect to act, and that's a good lesson. And the other lesson is in that I found something that felt authentic to me.
Yes,
setting up the camera and talking and all this other stuff was like, whatever, but just talking while I'm riding felt like me, and it does feel like me. And so it's good. So those are really two lessons that have been repeated over and over again by many interior designers over the course of the 2 years of the podcast, is that when you go to do something, it has to feel authentic. It's like I asked you about your blog. Your blog is so well done, and it has so many different interesting topics. And then when you said, well, I love to blog and I've been doing it for 6 years, I was like, oh, see, that's why, because that's why it doesn't look forced, because it's not. It's what you like to do, Yeah. So you'll just be challenged with your business growing and your children growing and finding more time to do it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, all righty. Any parting advice to your married colleagues out there, you guys?
Let your husband talk more on podcast interviews. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
I have a feeling. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I would just say field all your phone calls. You never know when a small job is going to turn into a big one. And that's how you start building your client base. And yeah.
Well, let me tell you what, that was very significant. It's a good thing we got him to talk there, Morgan.
I know. That's what I keep telling myself. Morgan, be quiet. Ryan has so much good stuff to say.
Well, I was about to say, I don't think you kept him quiet. I think he's just a little more reserved. But you know what? One golden nugget like that, I'll take it. Right. So, and after that golden nugget for Ryan, how about you, Morgan? Any last things that you want to add before we go?
I want to say that I couldn't be in this business with anybody else, really, that Ryan is such a good quality worker and good human, that the love and dedication that he puts into everything that he touches is really just inspiring. And it's so fun to watch, and it's so fun to be a part of.
That's terrific. That's awesome. This is great. You guys are awesome. And I really want to encourage everybody to go to the website, lot35homes.com, because I have to say, it's coming through on the podcast, your personalities and the respect and the love you have for each other. And it's really even more there as well. It just rounds out the information that we're missing today. So, take a look over there and check out what they're doing. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Thank you, Luann.
Thank you, Luann.
It seems to me that Morgan and Ryan have a terrific foundation to build their business on. Communication, respect, a shared vision. They have it all working. And, take a look at their website. Morgan does a fantastic job at conveying their values, their personalities, and their services. It's really, really, really nicely done. I was very impressed by it. Good for you, Morgan. Now, who is going to the IWCE in Tampa, Florida in March? The keynote speakers this year are Jason Locke and John Nixon, the dynamic duo of Madcap Cottage. Yep, that's right. And Jana Phipps, the trim queen, is going to be there, as well as Michelle Williams. And I'm going to be there, and Madeline McRae is going to be there. So please go to www.iwce-vision.com for more information on the seminars, speakers, and registration. And I've said it before, adding window treatments to your repertoire as an interior designer will definitely add to your gross sales. And by learning what you can about window treatments, even if you hire someone like me to take care of them for your firm, it still will increase your efficiency and your ability to recommend them to your clients. It also increases your ability to work with your window treatment person. So plan to be with us in March in Tampa. Okay, make sure you come to my seminars and make sure you say hi to me. All righty. I just want to ask you, are you taking action based on listening to the show? Meaning, are you simply filling in notebooks with ideas from the podcast? I hope not. If that's what you've been doing, listen, I know it's overwhelming. I'm the same way. I listen to tons of podcasts too. And even this one, you guys always are teaching me something new too. But I'm asking you today, pick something that you've learned on the show, an idea, a task, a project, a something, and do it. if it's something you can just start and finish today, pick something and do. If it's something that you need to initiate a plan for and really put it in your calendar so that you start to tick away the aspects of it, then do that too. All right? Do one thing. Make a move. Make a difference in your business. All right? All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the iTunes reviews. Now go out there and you have an excellent day. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.